In this video, once we got the stove warmed up, all the fuel was bark. Bark tends to be the most smoky fuel you can put in a wood stove. This is our opacity curve over time. We did pretty well with about 15% of our readings being over 20%. There's approximately 900 readings on this graph. The next chart below is the wavelength offset of the light. This is measured by the color sensor and appears to be a very telltale indicator of smoke as well. I've plotted the two charts together. This is opacity and wavelength, and I've tried to overlay them. The time is the same. They tend to run together, but they're not exactly the same. This is important because sometimes the opacity reading is non-existent and we get an offset in the wavelength of light that detects something. What are we seeing here? It's a combination of the Rayleigh, the blue scattering that's in the light in our sky, and transmitted light. There's a real science here that we're getting into. Now, while the bark was burning, we had the control system set. You can see in the upper graph, when it goes to 4, it has measured over 20%, and it goes into smoke mitigation mode. It's difficult to conceptualize, but in the top graph, it has the 4 control modes that the controller works in. When you push the button, it starts out in 3, and 30 minutes later goes down to 2, and then 1, and then 0. At 0, it's putting in enough air, and if it sees a rise in temperature, it'll put more air in. However, it's putting the minimum amount of air that we think is necessary. However, if there's smoke generated, it goes to 4. And when it hits 4, it goes into a different mode where it oscillates the airflow. And it appears that it did get the smoke under control each time it was engaged. This fire is controlled by a controller with a combustion air fan, and it is linked to an opacity monitor. The fan gives us these beautiful flames, and when the smoke gets too much, the controller goes into a different mode that will oscillate the fan at a different rate so that it promotes flaming rather than smoldering. And by doing that, we get good, efficient fires, we get good, pretty flames, and we get fires with very minimal smoke. So a smoke control system, a flame control system, is a good thing for a wood stove. Caveats and disclaimers. The video was shot prior, and I had published it prior. It is not bark. I didn't get any photos of the bark burning. Smokeless Chimney, www.smokelesschimney.com.